Hello, thank you for being at my talk, and thank you to the organizers for this opportunity to tell you a little bit more about our work on COVID-19 research. So our work on COVID-19 is related to the proteins that are constituting the SARS-CoV-2 virus, and we are trying to model them using high-resolution molecular dynamics. And to do so, we are using a new technology that are the new generation polarizable force field and the GPU supercomputers. So why is it interesting to use high-resolution molecular dynamics? It's because, in fact, when you do simulations, you have two aspects that are important. To be accurate, you need to have a massive sampling. That means that you will do enough simulation to visit all the possibilities of the conformational space. And you will need also a high resolution energy surface that will be relevant. That means that your force field that will support your molecular dynamic simulation should be as close as possible from quantum chemistry. If you manage to do that, this could have great consequences in drug discovery. It's like landing a spaceship on an asteroid. If you are at the right place, it will be a lot better. And for a compound into a protein, it corresponds to druggable sites. So with the possibility of having high-resolution molecular simulation, you will be in a better position to find a drug or to understand the physics at place. So to do so, you need a new generation simulation. And this simulation, they rely on new generation force field. And all these force field, they have in common to be able to embody more physics. In practice, the force field that people use, the classical force field, are based and are grounded on two-body physics. Okay, but molecular simulation, they should be as close as possible from quantum physics. And we all know that quantum physics is an n-body approach, and it's really important to include this many-body aspect. So this is what the polarizable force field are trying to achieve, and they're trying to achieve by grounding everything on the quantum mechanics, and they should be that way be able to deal with small energetical differences, even in a very large biosystem. So if you manage to do that, of course, you will have better free energies of binding that will help you to design new drugs, and you could deal with parts of the system that are difficult. For example, in some proteins, you have some metal atoms or some highly charged residues, and they are difficult to deal with if you are not including many-body effects. And also for a lot of applications that require more quantum chemistry, like spectroscopy, via hybrid simulation, it's really important to have a polarizable environment. So basically, if you want to be accurate, you need to have a massive sampling, so to do a lot of computation and to have high resolution force field. So the good news here is that this force field do exist among the polarizable force field available. You have, for example, the amoeba model. The bad news is that these methods are computationally challenging. That means that sampling may be an issue. So of course, to deal with that situation, we will use a HPC strategy to try to strongly accelerate this slow model and to enable them to deliver their new capabilities to the modeling community. So that's why we introduced a few years ago the TinkerHP package. So the TinkerHP package is a massively parallel version of the popular Tinker software. So the particularity of TinkerHP it is that it is designed to scale beyond 1,000 cores, so CPU cores. We initially designed a double precision code in order to be able to produce reference number even for very large systems. And it is Fortran 90 code initially. So TinkerHP include most of the polarizable model available, especially the Amoeba model that I will tell you more in a second. So the code is platform independent. It has been tested on various architecture. It is fully petascale ready. So one of the advantages of TinkerHP is its capability to include algorithmic speedups. So we have various algorithmic speedups. So the polarizable force field, they all require to invert matrices. So to do so, they have the capability to use efficient Krylov solvers. To be able to spread the amount of computation on very large machines, we are using 3D domain decomposition. So in that case, the region of space assigned to a core block all the data. And so one processor is able to deal only with local information, and it will minimize communication. Okay. So we use, for example, to do so, a method which is derived from the D shows neutral territories. If you mix that with dynamical allocation, group of cores, and various refinement of communication masking, you are able basically to use a petascale machine, and it will be the possibility for you to use tens of thousands of CPU cores. So in practice, what does it mean? It means that in 2016, when Tinker was only 8-core software able to use only a limited number of CPU using OpenMP, we were able to do only 10 minus 4 nanoseconds per day. So the nanosecond is the time of the simulation per day. And you see that a few years later, in 2019, on the Irene Curie machine using Skylake Intel processors, we were a lot more farther with nearly 1 nanosecond per day. So, and that for a large system, a 1 million atom fully polarizable system, which is the satellite tobacco mosaic virus. So, of course, if you look at the biological scales, and we will discuss especially the COVID-19 research, it's not enough to perform very long simulations. And also, there is an issue here, is like if you are talking about tens of thousands of CPUs, it cannot be done every day, okay? The advantage of GPUs is with one card, you should be able to perform as much as a simulation as a large amount of CPU. So that's what we published this year. That's the extension of TinkerHP to multi-GPU platforms. And that's the platform that has been used for COVID-19 research. So just a few technical descriptions before going to COVID-19. The TinkerHP new platform is multi-precision. So it's still capable on GPUs to have a very fast double precision implementation that can take advantage of the new NVIDIA cards on the V100 and A100. But it has also an implementation using CUDA kernels that is really fast and that can use, in fact, simple precision. So one particular aspect of the code is it is fully uploaded on the GPUs, so no access to the CPU anymore. And we showed that basically, taking advantage of simple precision, we were able to reproduce accurately the energy conservation of a molecular dynamics simulation with a significant gain in terms of computational capabilities. So of course we looked at the number. So I have a big table here, but basically, if you look at the different molecules, you will see that we get more or less the same numbers as on 10,000 cores using a single V100 card, which is really interesting. And we extended this single GPU version to a multi-GPU version with a lot of enhancement for the data exchanges. For example, we are using the NVHMEM library to deal with large systems. It has been also optimized on the new cards, the A100, and here we have a very strong acceleration compared to the CPU. If I get to the, for example, the system I presented you, the STMV, you see on the curve that you have on the bottom of the graphic that we can scale on mini GPUs up to 8 within a node. And on this machine, which is the Selene machine from NVIDIA, we are able, for example, to generate on one node 4.5 nanoseconds per day, which is nearly 5 times the best numbers we could get on a CPU platform. So since 2016, we have a 6,000-fold acceleration of the software, which is really important for biophysics. So I won't present it here, but our implementation is not limited to single nodes. We can go also beyond the node now, and we can use 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 nodes if the system is big enough. So coming to the COVID-19 research, so we started this effort in COVID-19 when the HPC community offered time, in fact, to simulate the system. And my team was among a consortium that I was leading. It included many people in different fields. And the idea here was to really try to extend these high-resolution simulations to the precise protein that are involved in the SARS-CoV-2 virus. So to do so, we tried to apply something new for us, which is the adaptive sampling. And the idea was really to reach biophysical scale simulation using a lot more GPU than I just showed you. The idea here is that using adaptive sampling, one could reach microsecond simulation if we could use hundreds or thousands of GPUs. So to do so, we introduce, in fact, what we call the mining algorithm that will use hundreds of GPUs, and that will attempt to reconstruct the conformational space, for example, of a protein. The first target we chose was the SARS-CoV-2 main protease. That's the dimer, and that's nearly 100,000 atoms. And the results were published in this chemical science paper. So the idea here is to produce microsecond time scale molecular dynamics using the many-body polarizable force field Amoeba. And in this framework, the global exploration problem is decomposed into a set of separate molecular dynamics trajectory that can be restarted within a selective process to achieve sufficient phase space sampling. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that in that framework, TinkerHP can be basically powered by an arbitrary large number of GPU, and this number of GPU is chosen by the availability of the machine. So it reduces extremely the exploration time from years to days. So basically, in a few weeks, using 100 GPUs, that was our initial project, we have been able to produce 40 microseconds of simulation. It would have taken several years with a CPU-based machine, but with 100 GPU in that framework, it only took 3 weeks. And in that framework, we were producing more than a microsecond per day of Amoeba simulation. So the idea here is that, in fact, we can generate a completely new conformational space using GPU for a given protein, but we can also compare it to the conformational spaces that are available within the community. The important thing here is, since we are using higher resolution force field, the potential energy surface and basically what we will find with this simulation is not necessarily identical to a regular simulation. So you have here an idea of what is done. Basically, we call it mining because here you have a projection of the exploration, and iteration by iteration, the algorithm is exploring a new part of the potential energy surface. And this acceleration is very large using 100 GPUs. And on the right, you have a projection of our results on the results that have been produced by other teams, for example, the RIKEN in Japan and TISHO research in US using custom supercomputers, Anton and MD-Grape 3. And with these machines, they produce a very large ensemble, conformational space ensemble. And you see that we have sampled even more using our GPUs. So of course, all of that is possible because we are using GPUs in single precisions. And we showed, as I told you, that we maintain the accuracy of our simulations. So what are the key results here? Is that first, as I said, we are able now to produce conformational ensembles. These conformational ensembles are using higher resolution amoeba force field. And we can see many different things. For example, these proteins are in water. And we see that having a polarizable solvent is important. The solvation patterns are different around the key residues compared to non-polarizable force field. For example, what does that mean? It means that each water molecule into the simulation box can have a different dipole moment from the other. In a classical force field, all the molecules have exactly the same dipole moment, and that brings a very large diversity into the active site of this protein. Also, for comparable reasons, and since each atom is having its own induced dipole as an external supplementary variable, we see that the conformational space is different because the protein is also more flexible. So we see a lot more movement in the MPRO thanks to the amoeba force field that is showing a richer conformational space. Also, it leads us to observe that we have higher cavity volumes. That means that the active sites are slightly larger using a polarizable force field. And it brings also the identification to new druggable sites. So we have been doing the evaluation of the druggable site using classical simulation and this polarizable simulation. And clearly, we see that the results are different. We see potential spots for druggability that were not present in the previous simulation. So here again, thanks to adaptive sampling, we brought that massive sampling, and thanks to the amoeba force field, we added this high resolution force field, and it has some large consequences for drug discovery. So what are the perspectives? So the perspectives are multiple, and so first, I would say that everyone can use TinkerHP. Everything is on GitHub. The GVPU version has been released, and this version is free for academics. We have also launched with NVIDIA an optimized container that can be found on the NGC website. And also, we are not limited really by the size of the protein because the multi-node implementation is actually functional. We are able to use a lot more GPU cards for a single trajectory than previously. So you can use directly for one single trajectory 40 GPU if you have them. So if you combine the multi-GPU implementation to the adaptive sampling, it's really straightforward to use a very large machine, and that's one of the preliminary aspects for exploration for exascale machines. So what's next? So at the present state, we have a fully automated adaptive sampling strategy. So since we have essentially finished the main protease, we will move to other target. So there is an incoming work dedicated to the dimerization interface that will appear shortly on the main protease. And we are also finishing to compute several conformational ensembles for the various versions of the papain protease, for also various versions of the RNA polymerase, and we are heavily working on the spike protein. So one aspect of that is that we are sharing all our data, and you can find them on the BioXcel MolSSI COVID-19 repository. Everything related to the main protease is also available. Also, we are working with Amazon Cloud, AWS, and we have, thanks to a grant that they gave us, we have now an optimized version of TinkerHP that is working on the cloud. And we are also running a part of this simulation on the cloud using the latest P4 instances. And we can take benefit from this P4 instances using the adaptive sampling strategy that I just explained. So I will stop here. I will thank my students, all of them, the one that have been developing the software with me, Olivier Adjoa, and the one who have done the computation on these various COVID-19 proteins, Frédéric Sellers, Théo, Jafrolo-Nizan, Perla, Eldarazi, et Dina El Alab. And I will thank you for your attention. And I will thank also the funding agencies, especially the ERC, for funding our AMC2 project. Thank you.